Nobody in Bryan and College Station is talking about. But the truth is, our housing market, it's soft. It's as soft as it's been. Well, you have to go back to the Great Recession to find numbers this soft. We're talking about our months of inventory and active listings. So today I'm going to break down these two stats, let you know what they mean, what our current numbers are, not just what they are today, but contextually, based on historic data, where we're at. I'm going to tell you about the trends that we're seeing and where we could end 2026. And finally, I'm going to let you know what this means if you're a buyer, because I'm buying houses right now, if you're a seller, because I'm selling my house right now, or if you're an investor, because I also happen to be an investor. Guys, this is important information. So today I'm going to pull back the curtain on our local housing market in a way that nobody else is doing. So stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. Hey guys, if you don't know who I am, my name is Greg Schwartz. I've been investing and helping people buy and sell here in Bryan and College Station for the last 6 years. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've never seen numbers this soft. So let's jump into the data and get you up to speed on what's actually going on in Bryan and College Station. We're going to be covering two very important numbers. In fact, these are the two numbers I pay attention to more than anything else. And that is our active listings and months of inventory. So let's break down what these are before we go into the actual data. So active listings are pretty self-explanatory. These are the number of homes currently listed on the MLS for sale. It's a measure of supply. So if you think back to your old economics class, supply and demand, super important when it comes to pricing and who has the upper hand, the seller or the buyer. And so our active listings will tell us what's going on with supply. The other number we're going to be looking at, well, that's months of inventory. Months of inventory is a number that, well, quite frankly, probably took me way too long to figure out. Months of inventory is a measure of whether we're in a buyer or seller's market. But the number itself is a consumption rate. Think of it this way. If we didn't add any new houses to the market, no new houses were listed for sale, and our buyer activity maintained constant, how long would it take for all of our current listings to sell off? If we are in a seller's market, then maybe all those houses would sell off in 1 month, very quickly, a feeding frenzy, if you will. But if we're in a buyer's market where houses are selling slower, maybe it takes 10 months to sell off every single house because there's not a lot of buyer activity, right? It's a balance of buyer versus seller activity. Months of inventory, super important. What you need to know is the general rule of thumb is this: 1 to 4 months of inventory is considered a seller's market. 4 to 6 months is considered a balanced market, and 6 months and above is considered a buyer's market. But as you'll see here in a second, Bryan and College Station has kind of always been on that seller's market side of things. We're a lot closer to 3 to 4 months on average. But today, things are very different. So let's jump in the actual data. Our data is at historic highs, starting off with those active listings. 1,612 active listings on the MLS. That is a high that we haven't seen in the last 15 years. You have to go back to the throes of the Great Recession to see this many houses actively listed in Bryan and College Station. And just this year alone, from January to June, we saw a 28.5% increase in active listings. That rate of growth of active listings is alarmingly high, which brings us to months of inventory. Again, another great measure of where our market is at. The Bryan and College Station Metro is currently experiencing 5.9 months of inventory as of June's MLS data. And you might be thinking, Greg, you just told us that 4 to 6 months is a balanced market. And yes, that is what they say, but it's different here in Bryan and College Station. In fact, to find data this soft, to go back to a market with 5.9 or higher months of inventory, I had to go back all the way to 2013 when we were climbing out of the Great Recession. But even more important than that, even more alarming, is the rate of increase of months of inventory. Again, this lets us know that the market is cooling off. We are cooling off so fast, it's as if you just ran a mile in July heat in College Station and walked immediately into a freezer. We increased months of inventory by 31% in just 6 months. This trend, if it continues, is not going to be good. Quick side note, Bryan's already in a buyer's market with 6.1 months of inventory. College Station holding on a little bit better at 5.4, but both are increasing at alarming rates. So the question is, where will we be at the end of 2026 when it comes to these two important stats? This is my bold prediction for the Bryan and College Station housing market for the second half of 2026. And if you're a seller, you are not going to want to hear this, but you need to, because I don't think things are going to get better anytime soon. I think they're going to get worse before they get better. And specifically, I think we will be at recessionary levels for our housing market by January of 2027. We're talking about 2,000 active listings and 7.7 months of inventory, putting us firmly in a buyer's market. Now you might be wondering, Greg, why do you think this? Well, the first half of the year was not very good. And I don't think there's going to be anything to change our housing market to take us off this trajectory. You see, we would have to increase demand, which means that rates would probably have to come down. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. Or we would have to decrease supply. Well, one of the major drivers of supply in our local market are new builds. These builders keep building. And we look at building permits, which is a predictor of how many houses are going to get built. Well, building permits are still elevated, meaning that builders are still going to build, supply will be high, demand will be low, and our market will continue to soften to Great Recessionary levels. And you're probably thinking, that is horrible. That's a housing market crash. And you're right, nationally, during the Great Recession, houses lost 25% of their value. People were foreclosed on. That was a horrible time, and I don't wish that on anybody. And I'm not predicting that because we're not the United States. We are Bryan and College Station. We are a very strong economy. We're an insulated market. And if we look back at the Great Recession, the good news is this: our housing price decline was 0.5%, not 25%, a measly 0.5%. Or said another way, a $1,500 decrease on a $300,000 home. Not really a big deal. So this is what you need to do in our current market going into the second half of 2026 as a seller, a buyer, and an investor. Starting off with my sellers, I feel bad for you guys, but the truth is it's time for you to roll up your sleeves and do some work. In order to sell your house, you need to price it right, have great pictures, but most importantly, you need to stand out from the competition. Make sure you're doing the important things. Power wash the driveway, get the fresh landscaping, paint those ugly walls, replace the old AC, replace the old roof. To my buyers, this is a great time to be a buyer. And if you're looking for that perfect house, you now have more houses to choose from than you've ever seen before. And we could hit levels never seen before. So take your time, look at a lot of houses, make offers, and put terms that are favorable to you because you are the buyer and you have the upper hand in this market. And lastly, do not be afraid to ask for things to be repaired like roofs and ACs. And finally, my investors. I'm an investor myself. Here at the Schwartz Realty Group, we primarily work with investors. And here's the truth about being an investor. When there's 1,600 houses for sale in this community, that means that there are at least 100 motivated sellers out there on the market right now, waiting for you to make an offer on their house so they can get rid of it. The question is, are you making those offers? Are you looking for those sellers? And if you're not, if you're just sitting back, well, you're missing one of the greatest buying opportunities in the last 15 years. So if you're sitting back on your heels during this market, I don't feel bad for you because me and the rest of my clients, we're looking for those opportunities. If you want to work with us, just shoot us an email, send market update in the subject line. The email is info@schwartzrealtygroup.com. I'd love to get that conversation started to help you out. For everybody else, check out this video about our local market and why it's so great.